From Mediaite, 2 Border Patrol agents in Alex Pretti shooting placed on administrative leave.
This pisses me off.
But this is normal. So you're going to start hearing from liberals saying like, oh, they're going to be pissed. They're going to say, yeah, well, we want charges. And you're going to see people trying to act like this is accountability. This is normal for any shooting.
But can't we do this without making announcements? Same thing with Bovino. Like, why are we giving them an inch? We don't have to tell anybody.
No, it's not an inch. Any officer, agent, or otherwise that's involved in a shooting gets placed on leave.
Right, but they take it that way, and I don't want to incentivize them because how they rationalize it is they're like, oh, this worked, I'm going to keep doing it, right? So why even announce that?
Because this is what you do in every single officer involved shooting.
Make an exception and not announce it this time. It looks bad.
Yeah, they're saying the official reporting is that 2 Border Patrol officers were involved in the shooting death of Alex Pretti, have been placed on administrative leave, according to multiple reports. They don't really give much other than they say, quote, part of standard protocol after a shooting. The guys probably had to go to a hospital. They probably had to get...
psych evals and all that.
Yes, psych evals and all that stuff. So this is not substantive in any meaningful way. In fact, what we're hearing is that they're not going to be launching a civil rights investigation into the agents, but into Pretti and others who may have been involved. And so I want to give a shout out to Harmeet Dillon over at the DOJ, who is based and doing great work. I would like to see, I'm hoping, and I believe Harmeet is going to be working on it, Don Lemon going to jail. I know they withdrew their petition to have him charged. I'm hoping that they're pursuing the grand jury indictments on that one.
That's what I'm hearing.
Yeah, that they're going to do it? Mm-hmm. Good. Lock them up.
I think it just bothers me. They just try to promote this idea that he's a nurse trying to save. He get killed by trying to help someone, right? A nurse. And then did we hear more of those violent nurse? One from Boca Raton. That was just absolutely awful. And there's another one from Virginia.
I brought this up earlier today. We're seeing this is becoming
nurses.
Well, a lot of them it's because most of them are feminine, right? So they're mostly it's a female dominated like education, what do you call it? Profession. Yeah. Jesus, can't talk. Okay, so we're seeing it over and over again, and I think that we're not really talking about what a crisis there is with trust in our medical, with our medical professionals, because you see this over and over again. You can't trust. Who was it with last time that this happened? The Charlie Kirk thing, and the woman got fired, and this new one that was saying you should inject things into
people.
Yes, I don't want to say what she was actually calling.
She got fired though, right?
Yeah, she got fired, and her license will be revoked because they reported her. But how do you know now that the people aren't going to keep those opinions to themselves, and then you go to get medical care?
It's not isolated to the United States either. There were cases in Australia where Palestinian activist nurses were saying that they were going to kill Jewish people in their care. One of the Bondi victims, who's a Jewish girl, they changed her name upon entering the hospital because they were worried for her safety with the medical staff.
This is what people on the right need to recognize. In the 2020 election, a lot of people said there was a grand conspiracy. They believed that coordinated groups behind the scenes were refusing to count Trump and overcounting Biden, all that stuff. The one thing I can say is that Time Magazine wrote the article, the shadow campaign that saved the election, so they called it a conspiracy. But you don't need a conspiracy. You have what's called a standalone complex, where an ideological group takes action all seemingly in the same direction, which creates the appearance of coordination. That is, during the 2020 election, if you had 1,000 people who just of their own volition decided to, for signature verification, go, oh, Trump is bad, Biden is good, and kept doing that. If you found that across the board that 1,000 people did it, you might say, look, there was this network that was doing it, when in reality, ideologues don't need direction and don't need pay. I bring this up because I've talked about in the past how I got to be careful when I go out to eat. If I go out to eat somewhere and it's got a big old rainbow flag outside, I have no idea what they're going to do to my food.
That's so true.
So we have to be very, very careful. Now imagine, I talk about this with my family, going to a hospital and someone recognizes you. This lady willing to say it, how many are willing to do it without saying it?
Absolutely.
I fell off my horse in the summer last year, right?
As people do.
Yeah. I mean, and I hit my head. So I was in there and I was laying on a gurney in the thing. And this nurse came up to me in the middle of the field and he goes, oh, I see your keychain. I guess you're one of us. Now, it was only an American flag. Now, he was on our side. Okay. It was only an American flag keychain.
One of us.
And he wound up watching actual Justice Warrior, Sean. And he was like, oh, tell him I said hi. But anyway, he knew that just from my keychain. So if other people are seeing just my keychain and they're on the other side, how do I know? Right. How do I know I'm going to be getting quality care.
Oh my God!
How do I know?
Meanwhile, this whole thing where like an American flag means that leftist Americans hate you.
Yeah.
It's like it's literally the flag of our country.
They're not hiding anything about it.
I love when I go through a neighborhood and there's American flag out front of all the houses. It makes me so happy. And I put a big old giant American flag outside my house.
I got an idea. I'm going to phrase it like this. What if somebody went to one of these left-wing protests with a big satchel full of American flag stickers and then went to their cars and started slapping American flags in the back of their cars? What if? I don't think anybody should actually do it. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Don't do it. But my point is, what do you think leftists would do if they see it? They're going to smash that car
They sure would. They burnt a car in Philly for having a Trump sticker on it back in like the first round of elections.
I mean, that at least that kind of makes sense if you're a person that believes, well, America's divided, but everyone loves America. The left doesn't love America. Right?
No,
Don't buy that they love America. They don't when they're trying to do things like trying to play like they're patriotic or say, oh, you hate America because you think that, for people that think that it should be illegal to burn the American flag, they're like, oh, you hate America because you. They will use your values against you. They are as deceitful as snakes. They are liars. Don't ever believe them when they say they love America because they absolutely don't.
That's why we shouldn't play by the rules.
Hold on. That was offensive to snakes.
Fair enough.
But seriously, this is why we shouldn't play by the rules anymore. I'm tired of taking the moral high road and playing by the rules. I don't want to play by.
I just think
they don't play by the rules. Why should we play by the rules?
YouTube's rules today?
I promise I won't say anything. I'm always getting in trouble for saying bad
Rumble,
things.
you can say whatever you want in the after show, but YouTube's rules.
Write it down and then just start screaming at the top of your lungs at 10 o'clock.
Serge said I had said like 4
Can
things.
I just say this?
Man.
It is just, by now, I think we should call all of them communists.
They are.
Once you know they're communists, then you know there's no rules. There's no rules. Total.
Well,
by any means necessary.
Right. The issue is the only rules that matter are the rules of the game they are playing.
Yeah.
They're not playing by the rules we created, and this is what the right doesn't understand. We talked about this to a great extent yesterday. The right does not have these kind of insurgent networks the way the left does. So when these things happen, let's just be real.
January 6th was a big chilling effect for that.
How many people on the right now are defending Pretti?
Oh, it's disgusting. You guys are pathetic out there. It's just
that's what I'm saying. Like they're doing that.
You've got libertarians now defending communists. You know what I love about libertarians? They are so completely unwilling to ever exercise power. I love it because they're not in my way. They're never in my way. Because when it actually comes down to having to use force to defend yourself, your property or community, they fold like cheap suits.
But then they're useless to us.
Yeah, so who cares? Just there, whatever.
Libertarians useless in fighting communists. Just useless. Mm-hmm. Just listen to Rand Paul lately.
I used to love him. He's really been letting me down.
I used to love him too.
Same.
Yeah, it's just insane. And
their only concern is overt organization. Libertarians are basically like, well, there's an organized effort to stop communists, and I can't see the communists, so they must be the good guys.
Okay, but the reason that we don't have these organized networks is because the FBI forever and ever has been infiltrated by these like leftist bureaucrats forever, right? And so with January 6th, there was a huge crackdown on that. People are so afraid to even text things in group chats, right? Let alone this. And why does it take Cam Higbee to out these signal chats? Where was the FBI on that? So we really feel like if we organize or do half the things that they do, we will be the ones arrested and in trouble. Why they continue to get away with it?
Because you don't do the things they do. The right doesn't need to organize license plate trackers. The right needs to have community gatherings and potlucks.
They'll arrest us.
For a potluck.
I promise you they'll be like,
sure.
They make
Let them then. I mean, if we
got kids, man.
Listen, if you can't have a potluck, then we're already cooked.
They'll make it something it's not. They'll say, this is a MAGA whatever, and they're talking about...
Then lay down and let the communists win, because if you're not even willing to have a community potluck to organize people on the right, you've lost.
I'm not saying that we shouldn't do that. I'm saying that's why most people aren't doing that, because
they're scared to have a bake sale?
Tim.
If they're scared of a bake sale, we lost. If your point
it's not going to be a bake sale. What's the point of organizing a bake sale?
The point, I'm using bake sale metaphorically to say, know your neighbors and communicate with other people in other cities. Don't just be a small, isolated pocket that sometimes texts your friends.
Join our Discord.
That's a good point, too. Hey, look at that. Timcast.com Discord server where you can join and there's people talking with each other. None of us in the Discord are doing anything like license plate tracking or coordinating with government officials, because I'm not saying that's what you need. I'm saying that when it hits the fan, because we don't swear here, right? Who are you going to be connected with? The left already knows. James O'Keefe has been dealing with this. Employees at hotels, rental car agencies, sharing his private details with their insurgent network to be able to track him, sharing photographs of him and what he's currently wearing. The right doesn't have anything like that.
I think that's interesting. We were talking about this a little bit last night, and I was thinking about it in terms of church networks and how useful churches are when they're helping the community. And they're very useful for that, right? They feed people, they clothe people. At least my church is really awesome. They make sure that the community has opportunities to volunteer and to help each other. But they are not particularly political, and they're not really politically aligned, which I think is impotent. Well, but they're not impotent. They're dealing.
What just happened
but they're dealing with something that's way more important than politics, right? I mean, in the view of the church,
too many of them are woke.
Okay. I will just say,
place in the
sure, that is true of some churches, but I mean, I'm talking specifically about the church that I go to that is very helpful and good. But my point is that they're dealing with so much just nitty gritty on the ground stuff. They're not looking at political ideology. So if people want to, and people think that they're involved in their community, conservatives think they're involved in their community because they go to their church. And my point is that there are a lot of other little organizations. You're not going to find this kind of political stuff at church, nor should you. But there are a lot of other small organizations. There's a lot of groups. There's a lot of community groups like, local Republican groups, and they have dinners and they get together and they do all this stuff, but they're not specifically going to go do all of these protests because conservatives are specifically individualistic, right? Whereas leftists are collectivist, and that's sort of part of the issue.
No, more than that is that they don't do anything. You just had Don Lemon and them raiding a church, and the men sit there and let their kids cry, and they separated them from their kids, and the people are yelling at their kids saying like your parents or whatever. And
I thought it was crazy that nobody
stood up and did anything. That's the part that's impotent.
What I thought too was crazy about the church thing was like they just had a massive church shooting in Minneapolis, and they're saying we can storm a church and everyone should just think that we're peaceful. That's crazy to me. Yeah. I'm sorry, you were going to say something.
I don't think that we're here today because the left is strong. I think it's because Christians, conservatives are too weak. I think that's really the problem.
Thanks for checking out this clip from Timcast IRL. Make sure to watch the show live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. Subscribe to this channel, and we will see you all there.